Hey guys, and welcome to the next part of our little restification project. Alright, so we're not restoring, but we're not going too wild on the modifications either, so we'll call it restification. Anyway, so the plan is to stick that big block motor into this 1968 Valiant utility. Alright, so we're using the Schumacher Creative Services engine mounts. Now apparently the engine mounts are okay to drop a big block into a slant 6K frame. There is one little trick though. You've got a notch around the bottom of the oil pump area where the oil pump comes too close to the engine mounts. So we've got to cut a little notch out of the engine mount area on the K-frame. It doesn't weaken the K-frame at all, but just a little bit of clearancing basically. So we've already got it marked out. We'll just have to cut away the offending metal. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so this is what they recommend doing. Alright, so you've got the factory mount there, then they want you to cut a notch like that. Okay, and that sits the oil pump in there like that. So this is what we've come up with. It's a bit larger than what they've asked to do, but they've actually said in their little thing here that the Mellings oil pumps are a bit thicker. And that's exactly what we're running, a Mellings oil pump. So we've made our hole a little deeper, a little wider, and I think it should work beautifully. That's the plan. So here we are, we're about to drop this massive lump of iron into the engine bay, and at the moment everything's looking alright, but obviously the proof will be when we get it in there. So I've done some massaging on the trans tunnel just to make sure that we've got enough room. But yeah, okay, now's the time I guess to squeeze it in there. So in the interests of protecting our new engine bay paint, we've picked up a whole bunch of old towels, picked them up from like a garage sale, you know, $10 for a whole box full of towels. Handy to have in the garage, and yeah, good for this sort of thing when you need to protect paint. Alright, so we've still got a little way to go, but we're getting close. Okay guys, so yesterday was the big day. We dropped the motor and box in there. It's all sitting in place, the bolts are in, but they're not tight, so we can still adjust a few things. A lot of stuff to do today. We've got the radiator to go in, the trans lines, trans cooler, throttle linkages, throttle kick down for the trans again. Tail shaft. I never throw away a tail shaft because there's always something you're going to do that needs a specific length, and here we go. I found a tail shaft that I reckon will be the good right length for our 727, which is a fair bit longer than the standard transmission. So we'll get a yoke onto that and slide it in and see if we're right. I reckon we are. I hope we are, because it's the only one I've got near this length. Anyway, so a lot of stuff to do today, just all general hookup, but so a fair bit of time under the car, unfortunately. Okay, so that tail shaft was the right length, we've bolted it in, it's ready to go. Now for a shifter, I was going to go column shift, keep it all standard appearing, But unfortunately I don't have the right steering column for this car, so with less than 2 weeks to go I need to really get this thing happening. And what I've done is I bolted in a B&M ratchet shifter. So it's not the way I really wanted to go. I didn't want that sort of sporty appearance in there, but it'll get the car moving, and that's the most important thing at the moment. We can always replace it at a later date and put the proper column shift in there that I really want. Hey guys, so we're getting close to firing the old girl up, but before we do that we want to prime the oil system first. So we use electric drill and an oil pump priming shaft. Now I've just made this one up, but you can buy them from any speed shop, so shouldn't be a problem. Anyway, so the pump in these things runs counterclockwise, so obviously drill in reverse, and so we'll spin this up and see if we get some oil pressure. Okay, and one other thing is, because we want to see we're actually getting oil pressure, what I've done is I've set up a remote oil gauge so I can see it. Obviously, if you've got someone to help you, you can have someone in the cab watching an oil pressure gauge. I'm by myself, so I'll set up a remote gauge here. We'll spin this drill up and see if we've got some pressure. So now we've got that done, we can stick in our oil pump drive. Alright, so we've done everything under the car. Tar shaft's done, shifter's done, transcooler lines are done, kick-down cable's done. Normally these things run a kick-down linkage setup, but you can't find them anymore. So we've gone the low-car kick-down cable set. A little bit more money than I was hoping to spend, but it's easy to fit as well. So, there's advantages and disadvantages. Anyway, that's done. The transcooler lines run to a B&M transcooler I pulled out of my spares off the shelf. And we've got it attached up here in front of the radiator. Now the radiator, if I was in the US, I'm sure I could buy an aluminium radiator off the shelf that fits big block into a Dodge Dart and it'd be all easy. But we're not in the US, we're in Australia, and things are a little bit more difficult here. So I bought this eBay radiator, 150 bucks brand new, can't beat that sort of value, and I reckon it'll cool it quite well. Now, it's easy to fit, it's just 4 bolts, and it's the 26-inch wide unit, so it fits perfectly. Like the cooling fin area fits perfectly with a factory opening. I don't have to open anything, I don't really have to modify anything except drilling 4 extra holes, Didn't even have to modify the battery tray, which is something you have to do if you go for the 29-inch model that some people use. Now we modified the lower water neck, alright, we had to do that because we had to get away from that radius rod. Top hose, it's all pretty simple, and yeah, I think it'll work quite well. Alright, up top here I've gone a 600 Holly, might sound a bit small, but you've got to remember this is only 367 cubes, so it's not a big engine, and I'm not after a race motor, so it's the all aluminium Holly. A lot of people don't like them. I actually quite like this carb. I've had it 15 years, this carby, and it works on every I put it on. So I think it's a fantastic carb. I've never put a kick through it in that time. It works all the time, and the beauty of it is there's no gaskets really below fuel level, alright, so nothing gets worn and swollen or whatever, so it just doesn't wear out. It's the perfect carby in my mind, alright. Maybe doesn't make quite as much horsepower as some of the other Hollies, but does quite well. So, carby sorted. Alternator, just bought off a guy I know, brings some parts from the States. Gone with the points, Dizzy. Yeah, I could go electronic. I've got electronic Dizzy over there. Just don't want to go through the bullshit of converting it right now, Less than 2 weeks to go. So, I can do the conversion later on. At the moment, points is the easiest way to get this thing running. Obviously, batteries in there. So, pretty much we're ready to fire this thing up. Okay, so we've got everything in. I reckon it's about time to fire this bad boy up. What do you reckon? Let's do it. So there you go, guys, she runs. Alright, now it's time to do the grill and just tidy it up and let's get it ready.